Yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, being, like you said, being around those guys and just seeing the way they train, seeing the way, I always consider myself quite fit as a rugby player. When you go down there, it's a different level again. Joe is, he was an exceptional fighter, but he is the greatest athlete I've ever seen. Like running,
could have been a marathon runner, couldn't he? Always running, always
incredible.
running.
He's just he could do 20 rounds.
Yeah.
Straight off,
Some man they wanna chat shit till I knock 'em out like I'm Jack Shaw. Rolls hot, roll stack, my flow shot like a hacksaw.
Right, guys, welcome back. Episode 27, the Tank Off Podcast. We're joined by another father and son duo today. Byron Hayward, Dylan Hayward. Especially in the local community, I think the names go before the introduction. I think everyone who watches this will likely know who they are. So, boys, thanks for coming in. And a lot wide range of things to talk about. Obviously, Dill, aspiring pro boxer now after a decorated amateur career. Byron, a little bit more of a list of accolades, but at the minute.
Cheers.
But, just start us off with that. Dill, obviously, just recently turned pro. I think was in the last sort of 12 months.
Yeah.
Where did the sort of inspiration come from to turn pro? Was it always something you wanted to do as a youngster, or was it you kind of?
And how long have you been boxing? Have you always boxed?
Yeah. I think I started boxing when I was around 5, so it's always something I've done. I was going to turn pro last year, but just sort of certain things didn't work out. wasn't the right time. Obviously, it was brought back up then this year. We had a conversation about it. I spoke to different people, saying it's something I've always wanted to do. It was arranged then, sort of early summer, around April time before I went into the national championships. Boxed well in the national championships, done well, got selected, boxed in the British for Wales, and it all just sort of fell into place then, and turned pro after that then. So yeah.
So when was your first pro bout?
August.
This year?
Yeah, just gone
so
now, yeah.
Pretty new.
Yeah.
What's the biggest change you've seen? Just in your approach and your prep?
It's a little bit more intense, if I'm honest. The training has ramped up a little bit. In terms of the fighting, probably, just taking your time a little bit more. It's a little bit more grounded. Obviously, it's still 4 rounds, so it's not a great deal of time, but 3 rounds in the amateurs, you are, cramming a lot of work into that time.
Yeah,
so
balls of the wall.
Yeah. So, it's not too different. At the end of the day, it's still a fight, isn't it? So, but just a little bit more intense.
Obviously down with Gary Lockett as well, training.
Yeah,
How have you found that going down there? Obviously surrounded by Cordina's down there now, Liam Williams, Gavin Gwynn, people like that.
Yeah,
being straight in the mix with
Who's Welsh boxing down there.
How have you found that? Obviously going from, not to say that amateur gyms haven't got an high calibre people in them, but to go from training in your amateur gym up the road then to down with those level boys. How's it been being around them and around Gary?
It's just, it's all positive, You've been in that environment, you're always going to learn. It's like the names you just mentioned there, they are, world-class boxers. So even, not even sparring with them, just being in the same environment as them, you're picking up little things all the time. They're all good as gold as well, they all pass information on to each other and help each other out. Gary's the same as well, he helps me massively, so yeah, it's good.
Brilliant coach, isn't he? We made contact years ago with Gary because I needed a boxing coach for him, and when I done my research, he was the one where come up that close to home, but also his pedigree. I think he goes under the radar a little bit.
Yeah.
When he was amateur, did you have a big focus on his training, or have you just supported him as a coach? Or
Yeah, I guess since he started when he was 10, I've been there more or less all the time, except when I was
I've seen because you've cornered him a fair bit, haven't you?
Yeah. So I done my training license. He was about 11 or 12, I think, when I done my amateur trainer's license, so I could get in a corner with him, have a little bit more control, I guess. But in the early days, you certainly, as you will know, as a father, it's worse than doing it yourself. Actually,
I agree. I agree, and it's nice to speak to somebody in the same boat because I often say when I try and people say, "Oh, how does it feel?" And I say, "I can't even. You can't even imagine how it feels because." I used to wait every minute. He'll tell you, we'd be stood behind that curtain waiting to walk out, and I'm dry reaching and spewing as we're about to do the walkout, man.
I'm thinking, does he fucking know something I don't know? I think that should be me.
But, I always remember watching the Joe Calzaghe documentary, and he had a psychiatrist on there, and he said the most unnatural thing in the world is for a father to let his son go out to war. Because every sin you in is to protect your kids, isn't it? Yeah. And even though you're grown men, you're still our kids, isn't it? And that never goes away. How do you deal with that, But because I used to be great in the training camp, shocking 2 days before, but the minute the bell goes, I think it'd be the first to say, I could switch that professional head back on the minute he was in it. But that day leading up to it was horrific for me. I don't miss it at all. When he retired, there was nobody happier than me. You know, how do you deal with those news? You know, what sort of feelings do you have? And
I agree with everything you said there. It's got better as over the years. Obviously, the more you do it, same as anything else, the more you become accustomed and emotionally aware of it.
Yeah.
But for me, it's about if I can stay focused and concentrated on my job, like my job's preparing him, taking him on the pads. Now it'll be like wrapping his hands, taking him on the pads, getting him prepared mentally. Is that I can feel I'm staying a little bit more present in the moment. As soon as my mind starts drifting to think, oh, he's my son, what if he gets knocked out in the first round? Because anyone can get knocked out. It's a dangerous sport, so as you know. But I feel like I deal with it by just focusing and being present as much as I can and just concentrating on my job, because I've got to try and be... I've got to put... you will be able to identify with this as like, I'm not his dad now, I'm his trainer. I'm his trainer now. Yeah. In the back of my head, I got his mother in my ear saying, you look after my boy before we go out.
If he get knocked out, you're gone.
No, I had this for years. He come here with stitches, he comes all knocked out. I tell you, you can pack your bags, you're not staying. Like, honest, the pressure was more on me when he was coming up through, you know what I mean? But it's not for me personally, when the fight was over, I was ecstatic with relief more than anything. The win, I enjoyed the success and everything after, but that initial first 15, 20 minutes after the fight was just, thank God that's over and everybody's good, do you know what I mean? But it's a strange one. It's not a natural dynamic, is it? It's not a natural dynamic.
Not, but like I was thinking back, when he boxed at Wales in May in the British, so I couldn't go in his corner then, so the national coach is in his corner. So now I'm just a spectator in the crowd. I found that 10 times worse.
How did you find that, Dale?
Strange, it was strange. That's no disrespect to the Welsh coaches or anything like that, but obviously when we've been doing it for so long, he's been in my corner since I can remember, you know.
It becomes part of your process.
Even the warm-up process was just different to what we would do. Yeah. It's like, that's still no excuse, like, you know, I still box well, but yeah, it was different, definitely different.
How do you do you feel like it gives you a little bit of an advantage as well, obviously, having your dad it was the same I used to say to the boys in the gym, like, you got him on your case 3-4 hours a day. I got him on my case 24/7. You know what I mean? Like,
to be fair, he's a lot better now. He used to be.
Do you think it gives you a little bit of an edge though in a way where, like, because what I used to find when I would go away to fight there and go to America, Abu Dhabi, wherever, even local play, go up to London and fight, I used to find, I think when you go away and fight, you're not just dealing with the fight yourself. You have that little bit of like, I'm away from home. I'm in a natural fight, but you have a little. I used to find it was a little bit more comfortable because you have your father there with you. Yeah, so you kind of have that little bit of home, if you will, with you,
family support.
Kind of pulls you through the fight. Do you find that would be like an advantage, even fight day, just having a mate to support you, not just as a coach but as a dad as well? Thinking.
Yeah, well, I think even in terms of a coach, I think. Because we spend so much time together, he knows me better than anyone, like, you know, any coach. Because, like I said, we live together, you know, we train all the time together. He knows me better than anyone, so yeah, it would definitely be a positive. And like I said, it's something we've had to work at times, but it works well. It works better than any other process.
I remember he was, I can't remember what your record was, and I said, but I can't keep doing this. I said, we're gonna have to find you another gym, and he goes, I'll quit. And he put all that pressure back on me then. He said, I'll quit. If you go, I go. It's as simple as that. Because you felt comfortable with it. And I think it works for some people, but I also, it doesn't work for other people. I've also heard stories where there's great fighters have had to let their fathers go because it doesn't work. I'm one of these. I'm not egotistical. I know my weak points. So, for example, when I had an idea that he was going to have a good career, I wanted to bring Gary Lockett in to do his boxing. You know, I wanted to bring Carl Parker in to work with his wrestling because he was the best wrestler in the country at the time. You know, even now, in my opinion. So it's having that, got to let go a little bit as well. And I think some of the father coaches were wrapped around and didn't want any sort of outside influence. At the end of the day, I would still be the boss when I'd have the final say, but I brought him in from Thailand to do his Thai boxing. I want, and I think that's important that you share the role a little bit as a coach. And, as you've done now, Gary's come in and I'm guessing Gary is head coach and leads the camp and everything else, and you have your input as well.
Well, Gary manages him. Yeah. Initially, when it was going to happen 18 months ago, that Gary was going to train him and manage him. Yeah. And then obviously Gary's got a lot of boys down there.
Right.
Gym's really full. So we had a conversation, and it was like, well, why don't I've always trained him?
Yeah.
Why don't I just do my pro license?
Yeah.
And I keep on training because he has shifts. He's got to work. He does shifts. Can't always get to Cardiff. So it just made sense for me to do my trainer's license. So
you there all the time with him, then?
Yeah. And I can work it around his shifts. And he's on an afternoon shift, we'll go to Cardiff. If not, we'll go to these days. We'll go to Rhondda in the night sparring over there, or we go to Porthcawl, wherever. We'll go anywhere. But it just works better that way. But so Gary managed him, and I wanted someone I know and I trust, and because it's important. There's a lot of dicey people out there, and trust is crucial for me.
Totally.
And Gary, I trust him implicitly. He's a good man. I've known him a long time. And
again, going back to the father-son dynamic, I think the trust is even more important as a dad rather than just an head coach looking for a manager as well. You know?
Do you any disagreements in your house now? Do you settle it with the gloves on out the garage? Or,
he wouldn't want to know. You don't want to smoke now.
When was our turning point? I could tell you.
Last week.
I remember, right? Me and him be fighting all the time. His mother going mad. We smashed some things in the house, but right. And I remember one day, I can't remember, we were upstairs we would just talk about this, everybody. We started fighting in my bedroom, and we're going now, mind, right? We've ended up on the landing.
Grappling for people watching. We are not paying up.
And she's screaming, what are you broke up there? Like, things were going over one night. And all of a sudden I thought, I just can't beat him. And I've had to give up. And that was the passing of the torch. I thought, I'm done now.
You'll tell everyone I was about 24. I was about 18.
You're about 18.
Well, pretty grey hair gives you wisdom. I'm glad to know it wasn't just us like that.
Do you glad you got involved with the coaching, because you've loved boxing all your life, Byron? I remember as a young boy, like with similar age, I remember you always on the circuit boxing, even when it was a really established, successful rugby player. Do you know what I mean? So, how did you get into boxing? Let's talk about that. What drove you into that sport?
Well, I went through a bit of a dodgy time in my young life, where I basically met someone, had 2 kids, got married and divorced within the space of about 3 years.
Yeah.
And I was really angry with life, with myself, because I'd messed up. Everything was going great with my rugby, and then I was being a dick out on the weekends, scrapping in the pubs, and my old man had a guts full of it. Police coming back and forth the house, and he just said, if you want to fight that bad, why don't you go to the boxing gym?
Yeah.
And I was playing for Newbridge rugby team at the time, where, you know, the gym was
on the
was
car
next
park,
door.
wasn't it? Yeah.
Right next door, you know, where the late great Enzo Calzaghe
How old was you then,
Joe.
right?
I was 23.
So late coming into the game.
Yeah. So I went in there and I chat with Enzo and started training, and it was great for me. It channeled a lot of my frustrations with myself in a good, positive direction. So I started sparring and, you know, get beat up a few times. It's like you think you can fight until you get in the ring.
It's a great culture shock, isn't it? It's a good humbling experience the first time going.
Yeah, and I loved it. I just loved the discipline, everything about it. And then within 2 years, Enzo, it was amazing. Like he made me into a Welsh champion. I was boxing in Wales in like less than 2 years. It was, and it was you could talk about environment earlier. It was just the environment there, because obviously you had Joe there, but you also had Gavin Rees, Bradley Price, Delroy Price, all the Price brothers, and they're all like littered amateur champions, Wales, British. Joe was Joe,
again the best of the best at the time, wasn't he? You know.
And you thrive in them environments.
Was it a tough couple of years, obviously being in there sparring with the likes of Joe and Bradley Price and all that, or was there something you just, like you said, felt like that would just become a bit of a better person from it, channeling that anger, and probably calmed you down a little bit in essence? Yeah,
it did, certainly did. You know, I was only in there a couple of weeks, and you realise, like, you think you're tough and you can fight, and you've got a big ego as a young man, and you go back down to earth pretty quickly, really. Yeah. And it does humble you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was brilliant. I mean, being, like you said, being around those guys and just seeing the way they train, seeing the way, you know, I always consider myself quite fit as a rugby player. When you go down there, it's a different level again. You know, Joe is like, he was an exceptional fighter, but he is the greatest athlete I've ever seen. Like running,
could have been a marathon runner, couldn't he? Always running, always
incredible.
Running.
Like, he's just like he could do 20 rounds, straight off. You know, but being around those people. And Enzo is obviously a great motivator as a coach. He was brilliant for me. It just brings the best out of you. And it was a very positive time in my life.
Did it benefit your rugby?
It did. Yeah, it certainly did. Because
apart from the few fines for knocking a few out in your career.
Blame King.
or getting knocked out.
I think that was Kingsley that was telling a few pokies.
But
Yeah, it does. It's those sports for me complement each other because, like with the rugby, obviously playing against guys who are a lot bigger than me, whereas boxing's weight categorized. So I get in a ring and I'd be boxing against guys who are obviously the same weight and size as me, but they just look very small in comparison to the guys you play. Yeah, so I was like, oh, I'm way bigger than him, but obviously it wasn't.
I've had this discussion lots of times. I do a lot. Different rugby teams come down to the gym and I do wrestling sessions with them. And I go, oh, you lot of men. I go, we are mad. I see him playing scrum half, you might be 12 and a half, 13 stone. You've got somebody 20 stone charging and hitting you from a side. Like, for me, I think rugby union, rugby, much more physical than boxing or MMA for damage to the body. Just my take on it. Like, I'd rather, like, as you said, jump in a ring with somebody similar size, similar weight, similar age, and we'll have a dust up than me be stood here and some 18 stone muscular bloke coming at me who can do the 100 metres in 12 seconds and ramming me off the side of a scrum. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, well, having seen both sides of it and coaching the rugby, I said to his mother years ago, I said, I'd rather him box than play rugby. For those like, I'm sat here now, I got screws and plates and pins everywhere from rugby. Because as you said, it's like, you don't know where they're coming from. They're so big. And
you was in an era, mind, when the cameras were on every angle of the field and there'd be some cheap shots going on as well, you know?
Yeah.
Was there ever a toss-up between rugby and boxing where you ever thought, perhaps I'll put the rugby on the back burner and have a look at going pro, or was it always just a little bit of a side hobby? Not a side hobby, but did it always take second place to the rugby?
No, it didn't, Jack, because at that time I talked to you about within 2 years, you know, Enzo had done something with me and he suggested me about turning professional, and rugby was amateur at the time, like 95. So I had all the medicals and everything to turn professional. And the only thing I had to have left was a brain scan. I was done. Well, I was plastered at the time, and me and Dylan's mother, Dad Tanya, we had been together that long. We had our own house, and we needed a couple of quid. And Newport asked me to come out and play a game of rugby. Well, I dropped my weight for the boxing, so I went out and played. It was 20 quid at the time, but I guess it's like 200 quid now.
Night out on the back end.
And last couple of minutes of the game, I broke 2 vertebrae in my neck.
Oh Christ!
So that I was in hospital for a while, put paid to the pro for that time. Well, by the time I got back fit and healthy, rugby had turned professional.
Yeah, so you had a chance to win a good living like, then, yeah.
Eberville were getting a lot of the local boys together to come back and play there, and I was like, what do I do? Do I want to go down the gym and get beat up by Joe every week, or do I want to play rugby and have an easy life? So the life part of it's a lot easier. Yeah. And that's the route I chose, and it worked out well for me because rugby gave me a good living. Yeah. So that's what happened with that, yeah.
Dill, did you have any sports as a youngster, or has it always been boxing?
No, I sort of played a bit of football, played a little bit of rugby in school and college, and I didn't want to show him up, really, so like, I knocked that on the head. But no, I went back to the thing of, like, when I was in college, like playing rugby, and the boys were a lot bigger than me, like, obviously because I was keeping my weight down as well. It goes back to that thing of I prefer to have some of my own size and have a dust up. It's a lot easier. So yeah, I never really got into it, like. But
did you encourage him for other sports, or?
He was all predominantly football. He played football a lot at a young age. I said to him when he was about, I think he was about 13, I said, Del, you need to knock a football on the head, but your talent's in your hands, not your feet.
Yeah, you could see it back then. Yeah.
And so, but wanting to play it, it's important to play all lots of other sports because there's loads of crossovers with the sports, especially the mental side of the game. But he was just always into the boxing. Yeah. So
I tried everything to get him away from MMA. He played rugby, captained the rugby teams from like 13s to 14s, to 15, under 15s up lady. And I tried to, you're never going to be a footballer. He was rubbish at football. But he was a good rugby player, wasn't he? He wouldn't have been no good as he developed, Mike, because he was a short, podgy, fat little kid playing hooker.
I'd have been too
then
small.
all of a sudden, like, all the other lads went like this, and he started shrinking, you know what I mean? The weight coming. But
too small to be a forward, too slow to be a back.
And I tried to force him into other sports, but he'd made his mind up, and then you've got to support them on what they want to do. I totally agree with that.
What was your first taste of rugby then, boy? Was it similar to Kingsley, where as a youngster you just always had a talent for it, or was there a certain point as a teenager where you thought, I can play this at a good level, or was it just something always done mainly out of just passion before it actually obviously went pro when you come back from your injury?
Yeah, it was something from a kid. We always played up, football, cricket, rugby, and we started mini rugby, same as Kingsley. I think we were 7 years old, playing for Nanty Glow mini rugby. Just obsessed with rugby. But through my teenage years, I wasn't much good at all, really. it was like I got to about 16 and something clicked.
Yeah.
I always like had a real desire and passion, like every young Welsh man does, want to play for Wales. But it was like something clicked when I was about 16, maybe as a result of the training or, you know, going through puberty and hormonal changes and things like that happening in the body. But yeah, it clicked, and I was 16, 17, and I ended up playing for Wales under 19s for a couple of years and just went on from there, really.
Was you aware of the old man like being a famous rugby player growing up, or he was dad?
Still ain't now. Oh yeah, he's quite a well-known figure locally. I think I'm overtaking him a little bit now.
I do come full circle, right? Because he used to go around the town and they wouldn't let him in when he was 17, and they go, Shakey's boy, come on in. I got to do that now to get in the place. Going, Jack Shaw's dad.
I ain't quite there yet. Not yet.
I get ragged a lot, and I don't know if you do it. Like, we've gone places, and they go, oh, like, I've lost my identity. Oh, it's Jack Shaw's dad, right? And we were in Dublin at Bellator, like, which was like the number 2 promotion after the UFC, right? And I'm with Brett Johns, and we're queuing up, and we've got to do some paperwork. And I thought they'd set it up, but it wasn't. This like member of staff about it was, you Jack Shaw's dad? And they didn't let me live it down for the rest of the weekend. Like, do you know what I mean? Everybody called it. But do you find sometimes still, and it's a personal question, for a while when you start your boxing, did you feel you was in your dad's shadow a little bit?
No. It's never. It's not as much as we laugh and joke about it. It's not a competition. To be fair, I couldn't care less about stuff like that.
And honest. I think that's healthy, because I don't think you ever felt growing up. I think, you know, you got the type of dad we wanted the best for you, and let all our efforts go into making you the best fight you could be. Yeah. And the proudest moment for me was when I couldn't control him in the gym. Do you know what I mean? It's like, right, I've done my job now. Then, you know what I mean? He's where he needs to be. Yeah. But I know a lot of father sons where they you know, like, I'm not famous. You much more famous than me, but a lot of sons struggled with that, living in the shadow of their father. Do you know what I mean? Because of the success they've had and feeling that they got to live up to that. So it's nice that you don't, and you know, I think that's an healthy way to.
If anything, is a positive thing, because you know he's good role model. Yeah, so you know, someone to look up to. Like,
and I think it also shows, like, you know, grew up in the same area, same sort of background. It shows that it can be done. Because I think sometimes in the valley we have this mentality. I know a lot of people got the mentality of you work Monday to Friday, so you can go out Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then you're back to work on a Monday. But for you, especially, like, having looked at your dad and all he achieved, you've probably grown up thinking, well, that doesn't translate, because, like, you know, you can't go make something of yourself despite where we're from. Whereas you speak to a lot of people, and you're like, well, you know, what am I meant to be? I'm from Aplerio, I'm from Blaina. Nothing to do around here.
It's too negative, way too negative.
Yeah, so I think it's a role model, obviously, as your dad, but also a role model in the sense of, well, he's proven it. You can
it can be done. It can be done. Anyone can do it.
What a brain to pick, innit?
Yeah.
Been there, seen it, done it. Yeah. You know. How many amateur fights you have, Dill?
68.
68. See, now, this is one thing that MMA is lacking in. People are too quick to want to go pro. Like, this is how difficult it is. Jack got to 12-0 and won the European title. Yeah. Could not get him an amateur fight for love nor money.
And I remember being 5-0 and people saying, you're going to turn pro next then?
Yeah.
You know, and I was like 19 or 20, and I'd be like, fucking hell, no chance. Yeah.
But there's a lot jumping down the like, I always say to everybody, amateur is your apprenticeship. Yeah. Doesn't matter. When you're world champion as a professional level, let's just pluck a fight. Tyson Fury. Do anybody know his amateur record? It doesn't even get discussed, does it? No. Unless you're an Olympic champion like Joshua, or, you know, a medalist, they might mention on it, but nobody talks about the losses at amateur, do they? And I keep saying this to our lads, it doesn't matter if you have 30 amateur fights and you lose 15 of them. As long as it's prepared you in that apprenticeship ready for when you go pro, you're not making those mistakes. Because as a pro is what counts on the record and getting the money and getting the big deals with the big organisations, you know what I mean? But 68 fights, Jesus Christ. How old was you on your first fight?
10.
How old are you now, Dale?
26.
So amateur, like a 15-year amateur?
Yeah, well, I had some time off it was COVID, piled the weight on. Obviously, I boxing. I'll be honest, we was discussing it last night, funny enough. Boxing was probably the last thing that was on my head, because I put so much weight on. Mentally wasn't in a great place. And I don't know, just something sort of clicked. I looked in the mirror and thought, right, you got to sort yourself out. You know, like, you know, I was looking dreadful. And then it just sort of happened bit by bit. And you say about then the apprenticeship thing, ended up going in the heavyweights of the Welsh Elite Championships, first fight back. Probably not my smartest idea. I had a bit of an hiding, but looking back now, that's probably given me a bit of a schooling.
Great learning curve,
It was
innit?
an experience, knowing not to shove so many pasties down my throat as well. But yeah, looking back at it, at the time, I was thinking like, what am I doing? Like, why did I do that? But it's a positive thing now. It was an experience.
How did you deal with the pressure of that first pro fight? Do you find it comfortable? Because
I think, is it a little bit, would you agree though that it's a little bit different in boxing? Because in MMA, you don't, as in boxing, at pro, you kind of get a little bit of an apprenticeship probably on your first 5-10 fights. In MMA, you don't really get that. You kind of turn pro and you straight into the 50-50s. Yeah. So, because I remember speaking to Rhys Edwards about this when he turned, he was only 18.
Yeah.
And he was struggling to motivate himself because he was saying, I've gone from fighting, elite level boys who've had 100 fights, 200 fights, and now I'm fighting a journeyman who I am really got to train for. I could go in and beat him with one arm behind my back. So how did you find that, like making that from, because obviously 68 fights, you're going to be fighting elite class. Fighting in, like you said, British, fighting for the Welsh titles, and then you get going in against, not someone you're guaranteed to beat, but they're in there for a reason, to bring you on a little bit. So how did you find the transition to like motivating yourself more than anything?
The way I think of it is I don't focus on the opponent, I just focus on myself. So I could be fighting anyone, like it doesn't matter. As long as I turn up the best I can, I train very hard. Just make sure that I turn up 100%, give everything. I'm happy with that. Like that's my motivation, just to be the best I can be.
Was it a different, like a bit of a, not culture shock, I don't know the word I'm looking for, but a bit of a different, obviously with the ring walk and...
Yeah, a little bit. I've had little things like that in the amateurs, but like little things like the hand wraps and just, it was different, but once you get in there, like I said, it's a fight then, like everything's just, it's sort of white noise.
What rounds are you doing at the moment?
4.
Yeah. So how does that work with boxing? How many fights before the rounds increase and so on?
Well, I wanted this one to be a 6-rounder, but they advised to do another 4-rounder and then step.
Is it the Welsh Boxing Board of Control makes them decisions, or just the promoter?
Yeah, I had a chat with Gary, and Gary said usually he goes between 5 or 6 4-rounders and steps them up. But he said maybe because Dylan's had such a long amateur career, then he'll do this one, and he wanted to go up this time, but just like, no, let's do 1 4-rounder, just to make, because the last one went really well, he boxed really well, but we'll do this one, and then we'll go up to 6 then after that.
Yeah, so that's it. That's the plan. Fight now. How many fights you hoping for in 2020, 26? What are we, 25, 26?
Well, as many as possible, really. It can be difficult with different aspects like ticket sales and different things like that. It can be tricky, but just as often as I can.
Like every month, every other month.
6, about 6.
6. Again, there's a big difference in the MMA scene and Gary spoke to us about this, and he couldn't believe, like, he was coming to events and they sold out. With the boxers, you've got to cover your purse, you've got to cover the travelling fighters' purse, you've got to cover ticket sales. And we know of boys that have been pulled out of events at a week's notice because they haven't done enough ticket sales. Yeah. We've had guys main event our show that haven't sold 5 tickets. I think when the product itself is selling the tickets, and the other fighters on the undercard.
When I spoke to a guy who was on the same page, he was very much like, the problem you got is with the Welsh, I think it's any pro, it's got to be like a strictly pro card, haven't it? Whereas with the MMA, you may have 5 main card pro fights, but you can have 10, 15 amateur fights, all localish lads that will sell the show out for you. Yeah. And then, like you said, you have 2 guys in the main event who may have sold 30 tickets between them, but there's 1,500 people in there watching. So I think it is a bit of a shame the boxing one kind of take, because I think that what I would do is increase the level of the lower shows. So, like, I don't know, like your Murphy Leisure Centre, Eberville, you could put on a good production event in there and not have to skimp on card, not have to worry about guys fighting for free, because like you say, you've had pros fighting on your card where you can, there's no worry about having to pay them every time because the amateurs have already made the money for the show. We like when I sat down with Gary and explained this before, like I'll pick an amateur fighter that'll do me 50 tickets here, an amateur fighter that'll do me 40, and also for me as a coach, it's a great experience for the amateurs to be walking out in front of 1,500 people with all the lights, the big screens up, it's live on TV, and it just gives them that, again, going back to the apprenticeship, what I was always worried about is a fighter going pro, they've done very small, minimal shows, not had that big production fee, and then freeze on the day, which can happen, do you know what I mean? You walk out, you used to fight in front of 300 people is one thing, you walk out in front of 1,500 partisan fans, even fighting away, it's that culture shock and that little bit of freeze in the headlights a little bit. So
How many people, just for me to have an understand, what sort of crowds are you looking at the moment in the next fight? I want to be a couple of hundred people?
Yeah. It should be a decent enough crowd there. Like, the last one I boxed on was good. There was a good few there.
Yeah.
That was a decent crowd. But I think another thing, like going back to the UFC, I think, like when you said you jumped straight in your first fight against, it's a 50-50 fight. I think that's why people buy a ticket to go and watch it.
Yeah, you're right.
They don't want to see like these one-sided fights where it's like, he's going to win. I think there is a lot of like, I don't want to be too critical, but I see like, there's certain boys who it just doesn't seem like they want to take risks.
Yeah.
And because they might have one in the lost column.
Yeah.
So what?
Yeah,
Get in there
you
and
can
have a
go.
fight,
You can
like.
go to a boxing show, can't you? Like and you can almost look at the card and be like, well, everyone on that red corner is going to win. And I think that's why the crowd can seem a bit dead sometimes. Because let's just say you sell 50 tickets, and you look at the card and everyone on this side of the card is going to win. All your mates are going to fuck off home after your fight because they're like, well, I'm going to stay and watch them. Yeah. Whereas I think with the MMA shows, like for example, a couple of years ago, Josh Reed, who's a bit of a big name locally, fought in the main event. So a lot of the boys had sold 30, 40, 50 tickets. When they'd fought, all their mates going to stay and watch Josh because he's in a 50-50 fight. And you think, that'll be a good fight. I'll hang about and watch that. Whereas if you won third and there's 12 fights, your mates are going to hang about for the main event because they know what way it's going to go anyway.
Yeah. Like my first fight, the main event was a Welsh title fight, 50-50 fight.
Yeah.
A lot of people stayed
So hang
there.
about for it, wouldn't it? Yeah.
A lot of people stayed, even people who just come to watch me, stayed to watch that fight. And I think that's what boxing needs. That's what it needs.
I think from my perspective as a coach, that present different challenges for him.
Yeah.
Is that, you could be complacent. You think you're going to go in there for a walkover.
Good
and
point,
you end up sat on your backside.
Yeah.
Because these journeymen, they call them journeymen, but at some point, they were good fighters. And like the boy he's fighting next have had 38 pro fights.
Fit, hard and conditioned as well,
I look at his record. He won the first 4. So what does that tell me? He's got ability. He's been a good boxer at some point. Then he's gone on the road.
Yeah.
Because probably can't sell tickets, etc.
Yeah.
So it's not the fact he can't box or fight. And now and again, if these boys, these guys they call journeymen, if they lose 4 or 5 fights on the bounce, they get pulled in with the area board. And then they're asked to, if you don't start setting up, you have to renew your license.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So now and again, they're going to come with an attitude, and this is what you got to be aware of on Saturday, is that he might be coming right, I've lost the last few. I need to put a show on you.
Bang on, babe.
And then all of a sudden, like the last boy he fought, had won his last 2 fights, he knocked one kid out, who's an up-and-coming prospect like him, in London.
He's a dangerous guy.
He's gone to London, he's knocked the guy out in the first round. He's like, you have to be respectful. So there's a different challenge.
Yeah.
It's almost like the fear of the unknown because you don't know how they're going to turn up. Like, we have a little bit different MMA where you'd have a local lad who's 8-0 who you could fight, but you can watch every one of his fights. Or they might say, he's a bit much. We got this French guy who's 3-1. You want to fight him instead? And then you fucking look on YouTube and there's nothing on him. So you're like, I don't even know what I'm going in against. So it's a similar thing. Like, is he going to turn up and, it's not your guy specifically, but there's certain journeymen, as you said, are they going to turn up and think I'm going to have a go tonight? Because a lot of them are a lot better than some of the guys they're fighting, isn't they? They just choose to take them through the rounds.
And as you will know, your coach's job as well is to get him in the right frame of mind.
Yeah.
Is to make sure he isn't going in there thinking, this will be a walk around. No, I have to make sure that you're on edge.
You've got to treat him like he's a world champion.
And if you give them a sniff in the first minute, so you give him a little bit, that's like our attitude is, you get out and you go foot on the gas from the first second, because I also think you have a duty to entertain people. And people are paid good money to come
they want
and
to see
watch
the best of you, don't they?
Yeah, they don't see you have a tickling contest, they want to see you have a fight. That's people are paying the money to come and watch. So you have a duty and responsibility to go out there and perform and be the best version of yourself, regardless of what comes at you, so you're prepared for everything.
My first experience of a journeyman boxer was at an MMA event. So I don't name the event. I've gone to a show in Bristol. I've got a few lads fighting, and the promoters come and say, is there any chance you jump in this fella's corner? He's travelled down on his own. He's doing a cage boxing match. And it was 3-minute rounds. I go, no problem. So I introduced him. I can't remember the kid's name. He's from Coventry, he was. So I took some pads. I thought, this kid's mustard. You just see, you think he's got power, he move, good hands on him. So I says to him, I know the lad you fight, and he's decent MMA. I said, but I think you'll knock him out. He leans over, he goes, you're to lose, mate. I go, what do you mean? He said, I've just got to take him through the rounds. He said, I've been paid to lose. Through me. And I went, what do you mean paid to lose? I couldn't get the concept of it. He said, I've been paid to lose. He sold 100 tickets. I'm just going to take him through the rounds. All right. So we go in and corner. The lad hits a body shot and buckles the kid. Right? And he looks across me, he goes, I go, he comes off, he goes, did I win that round? I said, won that round back. I said, it's 10-8 and you've dropped it. If I start picking it up, just shout something to me to bring it back down. So then, like, the second round, you've took him through the round you've lost, right? So it's all on this last round. And he's saying, I'm going to have to take a knee now in the third round. So he gets a 10-8 so that he wins the fight. He goes out by, right? The kid's hands are low and he's tired. He chucks a chap and he's walked onto it. His legs have gone all stanky. Me, I'm in the corner rather than cheering. Whoa! He walks forward, takes half-hearted shot, takes a knee. So it blew my mind anyway. He's lost the fight. The crowd is celebrating like he's just won the world title, even though it was a fixed fight. So he says to the kid after, he said, what do you get paid for that? He said, it depends what you want. I charge them £1,000 to lose or 1,500 quid if they want a proper fight. Right? I'm fighting again tomorrow. So that weekend you earn £2,000. Yeah. It's fantastic money. You do that twice a month, $4,000 coming in the bank.
I suppose you look at the journeyman as well. Yeah. You'll be able to if I'm right with this, but isn't there a rule? So if they get stopped, they have to take so long break, don't they?
They get suspended by the board for.
What sort of suspension have I had?
A month, is it? Probably 30 days.
I think.
So like some of them then, if they don't get stopped, could fight 4 weekends out of 4. Like you said, can make £1,000 a weekend. If they get stopped, they can't fight for a month, so it drives the money up. So they're not necessarily throwing a fight, but they're not inclined to go out there and try and stop them.
Make it more as a journeyman
and obviously, I think
challenging fight.
They pick up 2 wins out of 6. People are going to be a bit more reserved to chuck the prospects in with them, aren't they?
Yeah.
So that's the other challenge for him now. Is
stop him.
Get out there and stop him.
Yeah. Stop him, yeah.
You ain't going out there,
Talk a little bit about your amateur career. What was your... I always ask you, what was your favourite fight and what was your toughest fight?
Favourite and toughest, probably. I box, I'll give him a shout out, Cole Harris from Porthcawl. We sparred a couple of weeks ago. He's a great lad, to be fair. We get along great. We had 3 wars, basically.
Yeah.
And they were like, I got cut in 2 of them.
Yeah.
It was, they were wars, like, and they were definitely... Probably the last going off, that was a cracker of a fight. People always say to me about all 3 of them, to be fair. But
and now you're doing a bit of training together.
Yeah, that's what boxing's about.
And it's the same. And what combat sports is like. You can go in there, try and kill each other, and then there's always that bond. I feel at the end of it. I think that's across the board. Even if you dislike that fella, is that you've just shared a moment.
When they used to make me, I remember training down Gary's a couple of years ago and doing a bit of sparring, whatever. And you have Rhys Edwards and Jacob Lovell. Jacob from Swansea. They were training together, both for pro fights coming up, and Gary's like, see Jacob? And he's like, yeah, him and Rhys had a fight. And he bit Rhys in the middle of the fight and they kicked off in the crowd. And Rhys said, yeah, we've had a couple of fights. He said, we're all right now. And they training partner, like full-on training partner as well, training every day. So, like you said, it does create bonds, doesn't it?
It's not a personal thing. Like, we went in there, not just our fight. There's a lot of fights we had. You're going in, beat the shit out of each other, trying to take each other's heads off, shake hands after it. It's not a personal thing.
It's a sport, isn't it?
It's a sport, yeah.
The only time it becomes personal, if you're dealing with somebody that makes it personal, with comments about family, I
haven't got a lot of time for that, to be honest.
It's like, I'm one of the... And my pet is like, stay down at the way where you think you're going to... This guy's going to be fighting him now the next day. You really think now by staring him in the eyes, you're going to terrify him or have that upper hand. I just don't... I don't buy it, We've had all and sundry trying to intimidate. They don't even know, growling. I think, come on, boys, we're going to have a scrap tomorrow.
Yeah. What about you, By? Anything stand out for you in your amateur career? Favourite one?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. My hardest favourite fight was when I won a Welsh title against a guy from Barry called Clayton Smith at the time.
You fight a couple of times, is that right?
Yeah. Oh, no, not Clayton. I fought him once.
Just one.
Yeah, he was an up-and-coming amateur star through the schoolboys, youth and seniors. He was a real highly rated prospect, and I wasn't given much of a chance. It was my 16th amateur fight as all. And but Enzo believed in me 100%, and he believed I'd stop him in the 3rd round, and that's what happened. I took a cut few in the first round, mind. First round, he was really quick, and he caught me some heavy shots at a couple of standing counts, and but I managed, I was really strong and fit at that weight.
Yeah.
And we just kept going, like foot on the gas pedal, and took a few, but managed to get a few off, and I stopped him in the 3rd round.
That goes back again to having a good relationship with the coach, innit? Like you said, 16-0 Enzo says, no, you can beat this kid.
Yeah.
You know, we've had a couple where promoters, Common Day is the biggest one for me, where, what was he, 4-0?
Yeah, something like
He was
that.
4-0. His Common Day was 9-2 on a 5-fight win streak. He'd beaten all the top Welsh guys, didn't he?
5 knockouts as well.
5 knockout. And
One of them when you were a bit stressed in the change room. Here we come.
And I've said
Twitcher.
to the Cage, which is a televised promotion, which was on BT Sports at the time, we'll take Common Day. And like the owner of the company's going, it's too soon. I'm going, listen now, you stick to promoting the fights. I'm telling you, we can beat this kid. I've had a look at this game. I just don't see how we beat. Stopped him around, you know?
Yeah.
Stopped him in a round, you know what I mean? Because as great a striker he was, I could see so many holes in his ground game, which was his strength. I thought, if we can get him down early, I think we'll have an easy night. And we did, didn't we? Pretty one. And he's had like a decision with Mason Jones at the higher weight, haven't he?
Yeah, he's gone some good boys, yeah.
Really good lad. But again, that's down to you as a fighter having that faith that if the coach is saying to you, like, take away the father side of it, just as a coach going, this is a good fight for you. And Enzo is experienced enough to have had those sort of things, wasn't he?
But that's because you know him better than
Yeah,
anyone else.
100%. But
I had a really close relationship with Enzo, but you know him better than anyone else, and you know what he's capable of. And like going back to the focus on the strengths, you've seen him what Jack's strengths was, and you looked at the other guy and seen like he's made for you.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's exactly the way it is.
Yeah, yeah.
People can have great records, but there's certain flaws you see as a coach that you know there's a strength to your guy.
Yeah.
And you highlighted that, and so a lot of that's down to yourself.
And we speak often about records. Like sometimes you'll see a fighter that's 8-0, but when you look at we are very fortunate. I don't know how it is in boxing, but there's a forum called Tapology, so I can type Jack in.
Yeah, they got him. Was it Box Rec?
Box
innit?
Rec,
Yeah.
yeah.
So it gives you the record, and like you can have an 8-0 guy that's never beaten anybody with a positive record.
Which in MMA is, not really a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like in boxing, a little bit different, innit? But to be 8-0 in MMA, you would think
I might have a
6 or
3-0 guy,
7.
and I think, well, my 3-0 guy is 4 guys that these lads that he's beaten, they can, lace their gloves. So again, it's researching it, having faith in the coach, and as a coach, you've got that responsibility. You're not going to send them out for a fight that you think we're going to lose you. Do you know what I mean? So I think that works well. It worked well for us, didn't it? What's your aspirations still? What are you looking to achieve from the sport?
Undisputed 3-weight world champion. I always say, with a world title, it'd be great, or a major title, but I just want to be the best I can be.
What would be your first, I talk about stages. So in that dream of becoming a world champion, there's also stages, like Welsh champion, British champion. In your mind, what would be that first belt you would like to wear?
Well, the first stage is Saturday. That's what my mind's focused on at the moment. Do the job Saturday, get a win. Next year then, like I said, progress into 6 rounders. Hopefully, potentially be challenging for the title at the end of the year.
Would you get that at 8-0 on the boxing scene?
Yeah.
Is there a Welsh champion at your weight as a pro?
Yeah.
Yes, it's Willie Galini.
He just fought Ethan George.
Yeah, he boxed him at super middleweight. Yeah. So
Yeah.
he's 2-weight Welsh
Oh,
champion.
he's 2-weight.
Yeah.
Who did he fight in his last fight, Willie?
Carvel Crocker.
That's right, of course he did, yeah.
That was the bill.
Willie Galini. Trains down with
I thought he said Willie Galili. I thought that's a made-up name, man. It got to be.
Trains with Enzo, doesn't he?
Yeah. Good fighter, to be fair. He's a good fighter. He's the one that I boxed on the undercard of. So when I said about the Welsh title fight, it was a good fight, to be fair. Good fighter. I believe I've seen he's moving down, not the welterweight, so I'm not too sure what will happen with the title there. They change all the time, but like I said, progress into 6 rounders next year, 8 rounders, and hopefully be challenging for some sort of title at the end of the year. I'll just leave that to the team. They'll sort all that.
And that's a great attitude, Bill. It's a great attitude. We try and say this to some of our lads. They all want to run before they walk. Take every fight as it comes. Do you know Harry Trelawney? He's a teacher down in Cardiff. He wasn't a bad rugby player, semi-pro rugby player, and he got a big sign up in his room, and it says "Win the minute." And I thought, what a brilliant saying. And I try and focus on that in my head all the time. Win the minute. Don't be looking too far ahead.
Yeah.
And his attitude, I listen to him giving speeches to the rugby team when they play. If you win the minute, then we concentrate on the next minute. And sometimes we're too long-sighted rather than what's right in front of us. That's where we get lost, and that's how we end up, as you said, becoming complacent and losing fights that we shouldn't.
I think it helps as well having his dad as his coach, because what I struggle with when I'm doing a bit of coaching is especially with I teach at the gym the junior MMA team, and there's no middle ground. You either got parents who are really supportive and will say, he's in your hands, you do what you fit, or you have parents who have never boxed or grappled in anything in life, but also seem to think that they know what's best for the kids. But I think there's a real benefit. Obviously, you've had such a lot of experience in the same sport that you kind of know how it works, and if someone's advising you on something, whether it be Gary or one of the other boys, then you will know whether, like, listen to what he's saying or kind of discard it, you know?
Yeah, I find that all the mistakes I made, I'm passing on to him. And it's like what you say about win the minute there is like, for us, it's about enjoying the journey because, and that might seem a little bit cliche-ish, but it's always about like, I want to get there and win this title. I want to do this. I've done it in my career. And you miss the everyday bit. Yeah. And so for us now, like what he's saying here now, he doesn't really know, like, what's my goal? Like, I want to be world champion. Chances are, what? But if it happens, it happens. Yeah. If it don't, what can we control today? How we enjoy the day, how we go training, how much effort we put into it, and have a laugh along the way and a bit of fun because
it's got to be enjoyable.
And I think wherever
I never did that. Yeah. I was like too intense all the time, 24 hours a day, even out the training. I was like head on. It was just like I wasn't enjoying any of it.
Got to find the balance.
That's the words I was just going to use, and you'll tell you, I use all that. You've got to have the balance right. You've got to have your social life. And by that I don't mean you've got to be out drinking Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the old rugby culture, but you've got to have time with your friends. You've got to have time with your girlfriend. You've got to have time if you're a game. I'm never a gamer, but just a little bit of relaxed time. Kingsley made a really good point to me when he said, I didn't have no hobbies because everything was rugby. And I said to him when I said, you know, that's me. I haven't, have I? No. my entire life is absolved with this gym and teaching martial arts. I got to try and find something, you know, because there is no balance in it. I think my balance here would be, I like going to the caravan down in Tenby for the weekend and I shut off and I have a relax. But outside of that, I can't put my hand and go, enjoy having a game of pool or a game of golf. I've never played golf in my life. I don't know.
Do you find you helped Jack with his career and that balance because of the mistakes you made?
I think so. I always made sure you had balance, didn't I? You know, downtime, enjoyable time. Get out with the lads and, you know, have a night out. You know, don't get me wrong, you never celebrated a birthday, did you?
For 10 years.
Like 10 years, because in the MMA, like the circuit, you always have Christmas off. Then the first shows seem to come in February, end of February, March. His birthday's February 6th, and I mean, you missed every single birthday because...
well, I think I celebrate my 18th, and then I didn't celebrate a birthday until my 30th this year. Like, you know,
because you can't go out and have a drink because you're in camp. What does camp look like for you boys? Is it just constantly the same pattern, or do you step it up 6 weeks before a fight?
Well, this has been a bit longer because the first one's a little bit rushed. You done about 5-week camp.
Yeah.
This week you've had 8-week camp. Yeah. But... yeah.
What does that look like? Do you mind telling me what's like the structure of the week for that?
So I work around with shifts.
Yeah.
We make sure we try and get 2 sparring sessions in a week.
Yeah.
The sparring's important.
Yeah.
S&C, obviously.
Yeah.
And then start tapering down with nutrition. So it's like, it's important to get that balance for me now.
Yeah.
It's like when he's out of camp, he's out of camp. I don't talk to him. We hardly mention boxing after the last fight for about a month.
Do you still train boxing then, or do you take the complete time off?
It's more to give my hands a rest than anything. Yeah. So I don't do as much punching, but he gives me a bit of a row where he got to try. It always used to be he had to try and motivate me when I was a kid to train all the time. Now he's got to pull me back and say rest because I want to train all the time. It's good for my mental health as well more than anything. You know, I like to be active and I do like high rocks training, running. I love.
So
going
are you
for
looking
running.
at 2 sessions a day during camp, or one hard
Depends,
session?
like on shifts.
Yeah.
If I can fit 2 in a day, like whether it's a weights and run, spar and bag work, something like that. You know, but normally it's 6 days a week, and working around shifts then as well. So.
And then once you've had that fight, month of like bit chill, still training, but not the intensity. Is it?
Days, probably.
Yeah. He was last time I said to him, just go an hour a week, do nothing. Yeah. He's gone about 3 days, he's back training. And it's like,
and to
you do get bored. It's like when it's
honestly, I can't
if you do it properly, you know, like I know guys obviously don't do it properly. They do their 6 weeks of camp and then you don't see them for 2 months. But if you kind of live the lifestyle, and I was always, you know, fairly disciplined in the sense of like I didn't have to be told to train. I should you should enjoy training. Like within 3 days off, I'm getting bored. But when it becomes like part of your routine, you know, like most people's routine is get up and go to work. on your days you haven't got your shift, your routine is all right. And day after that, you can get 2 sessions in. So when you can do it and you're trying to have a bit of time off, it's just that natural instinct that to think, well, now I'm going to get up and do it anyway. So it is hard, isn't it, to find the balance.
It's hard to explain. Like, do you know, like, I obviously just finished camp now. My body's quite, tired. I've trained hard. Do you know, I'm thinking now, like, I'd love a couple of days off. No, when the actual couple of days off comes around, it's shit. Yeah. I think, what am I doing? Like,
that's a mental thing more than physical, isn't it?
It goes back to finding, like what you were saying, you're trying to find something out later in life, was that he's got to find it now.
No,
Even if it's like going away with your girlfriend.
Go
and do some cold water dipping, go and do some, or sauna, whatever it is, it's like non-active rest, really.
Yeah.
So you're resting your mind completely away from it, because when he does come back into camp, I need him switched on and keen and hungry, ready to go into that 8-week, of hard, intense work. Yeah. And I think you can only do that long. You haven't had enough rest going into this fight for me, and his body's creaking a bit now, coming to the end of it. And it's creaking for a reason, and we have to listen. Your body's telling you.
Totally agree.
I think you're right. I think a lot of it is more mental as well than physical. You need that little mental reset.
Yeah.
I think that's why I used to do a lot of fight. Do go on all day after a fight, because you can kind of just leave your life in Wales back at home, can't you, and just live the dream for a week. And you come back. It's not so much physically, because you come back and you're full of the all-inclusive and the drink, and you're like, fucking hell, I need to go for a run. But
he's going to have me on the scales now when he gets
that's what I used to think. I get a day
get on the scales.
Fucking hell, what am I going to wait? Like,
fucking run in. Yeah, but it's a bit different with MMA to boxing, because like you've got the one discipline, so it's pad work, sparring on top of your S&C, and you like for us, we're fortunate, so you'd have an intense 8-week camp, training twice a day, lots of MMA sparring, lots of wrestling, lots of boxing sparring, and then our fight camp will come and we'll taper it off a bit. So rather than doing like 6 rounds, we might do 3 rounds of boxing once a week. Grappling is not so taxing as it on the body, so you can keep him fit, keep him strong without getting punched in the face. So we'll concentrate on a bit more grappling for a few weeks or a few months in it, just to taper off. Then all of a sudden that fight, but you've got to be in that. I say this to the lads, it's got to become your lifestyle. It can't just be a job, as Jack just said, and you boys probably see it in the boxing world more than we do in the MMA, where they have that fight, you don't see them in the gym for 6 weeks. Well, then you're chasing again, innit? Do you know what I mean? Where like you have that full week off, come back, just be ticking over. That's what I say, boys, tick over. Keep your level of fitness. Put a bit of weight. Have a beer on a Saturday, no problem. But make sure you're in the gym Monday, so we're burning them calories. Far too often we've seen boys have a really good successful Saturday night, and then they're on the piss for the next four weeks. Then they come back into that gym on week 5. They've put 5 kilogram on. Their cardio's completely evaporated. Their mental state is not great then, because lads, they were absolutely dominating 5 weeks earlier, and now having the pinch on them because they've stayed in the gym fit. And I think for your mental welfare as well, you need that, taper it down, but you also need to be doing something so that in your mind you're keeping that fitness level up, innit? I think that's what we always do. We always say, take a week off, same as what you said, back Monday, and we ease back into the training.
When you say, like, I think that's one thing. I went into this camp, I was already really fit when I went into the camp, because I
massive impact on the camp, I think.
Probably started off a bit too fit.
Do you know
what I mean?
Because you can crash, can't you, from us?
Yeah. But like when I say train 6 days a week, it doesn't mean it got to be 6 hard days.
Yeah.
Like it can be tapered and things like that. So it worked well. Hopefully,
I always say, camp, you should be here, and by the end, you should be
peak
week on week, increase into that peak.
Yeah.
Then ride in that peak for a week or so into the fight and job.
Yeah, I think you can't stay at the peak for 52 weeks of the year, can you?
No.
You can't expect to have 0 level condition and get fighting fit in 8 weeks. But also on the flip side, like you said, if you try and beat that peak, your body do start to falter, and then it's a different kettle of fish altogether. Then if you try and rush the process, your body will falter. Yeah. If you try and stay there, your body will also falter. So it is, I think the more years you do it for, you kind of, and you have a good benefit that you've done it yourself, with the rugby especially as well.
You coaching anyone else, in the boxing, or just
no? Well, I did a couple of young boys up the gym, friends of mine. Young lad now, Tane Kershaw, starting to have his first fight in 12,
amateur
12,
or pro?
Amateur, he's in 13, so they do a bit with
and him. This is were you coaching up the Edge of Valley, is it?
Yeah, at the Edge of Valley, because it's important, I think. Dylan keeps associating with the Edge of Valley. Is where he was.
I totally agree with it.
It's your roots, your loyalty. Mel, I got a key to the gym. We can use it when we want. We can bring boys sparring, and it's important, I think, is like them values and loyalty is big things. Is important in my life.
Yeah,
and I felt that. But that's the challenge in itself as well, isn't it? Is like, getting it right, peaking for a camp.
Yeah.
So, like, we don't push them too hard. Because now at the moment, he's wanting to train hard every day. And I'm like, no, you need an easy day.
Yeah,
It's
totally
the
agree.
technical stuff.
Sometimes even a
Some
day off.
tactical. Yeah. Yeah. And it's like hard work trying to get him to have a day off now. He spent about 15 years trying to kick you
Hey, 15.
Having coached at high level in rugby as well, but what would you say is the main difference then, for example, between, because I think rugby's probably a little bit different. If you've got, I don't know how long the season is, 20 games, whatever, you have kind of got to keep guys in at the peak for that season. I know they get their off season then to recover a little bit, but do you find in obviously in the box, like you said, we can build to that date, then we can reset, whereas with the rugby where you're playing every single week for 20 weeks in a row, how did you as a coach did you have an influence in saying, right, we need to pull back a little bit this week, or did you find out to get a balance between we got to stay here because we got another tough game next week and we got another tough game the week after? What's the difference in the mindset in the training to kind of what it would be for coaching Dylan in the boxing?
So in rugby, like, we'd have a periodization, they call it. It's a periodized plan. So, you can't play your best 15 players every game. That's why we have a squad of 40. But you want your best players on the park every week. So at some point they're going to pick an injury up, so they'll have their rest then. But it is a case of monitoring. It's exactly the same process in that if you boys start creaking, you've played 5 or 6 games on the bounce now, and all the training that goes with it, that, and the physio and the medical team will give you, like, he's creaking now, so we need to pull him out this week, put somebody else in. So it's exactly the same process, because the human body is a body, you can be as tough as you want to, and sometimes being mentally tough here is obviously great, but it can be also be an hindrance to you because you can push yourself too far. And I look back at what I did, I was too much on that side of it. Loads and loads of times I burnt out and gone into games where they're just not in the tank. And that's worse, I think, than being unfit.
Yeah.
Because when you're unfit, you can dig on your reserves and you can just bite down and get on with it. But when there's nothing there,
When the body's broken,
in the body, it's like trying to drive a car with nothing in it. It's not going to happen. So those things are like, and I think that experience, I suppose, with the rugby has now helped me in the shorter term plan with him, because I do keep a training diary and like how many rounds he spars. We do certain hill runs, treadmill runs. We monitor progress and see, right, where you at in comparison to the last camp at 4 weeks, 6 weeks, 8 weeks. At the moment, he's flying. He's beat all his times from last time. So I'm like, right, we know we need this fight now.
Yeah.
It needs to happen now because it was happening 2 weeks' time. It's going to be hard to keep
over that
keep
peak and
him,
back down. Yeah. What is there any influences you've had from coaches in rugby which have given you like an ethos or help you with the game planning of a boxing? Then I know they're different sports, but sometimes that approach, then the professional approach and the professionalism of the coach driving in standards to you can relate, I think, across to any sport, really.
Yeah, definitely being a professional rugby coach have helped me in that, there's the 4 key components in every sport. It's the technical, tactical, physical and mental, which are all different in every sport. So I just go back to them foundations. And when I put a plan in place, and I do it with him now, it's important that he is as part of this process. I'm not telling him, I'm asking him, and I'm getting his feedback, because I think sometimes as coaches, we think we have to have all the answers. Where really, I should have all the questions and he should have all the answers.
Good, yeah.
So we'll sit down and I say, like, from a technical point of view, Del, we focus on this, and I show him a list. So, like, tactical and like the mental side, which is the uncoached aspect and component that we used to say it with rugby, like, we do all the physical and technical, tactical. Who coaches the mental side in the game? And so we, like, what's our mental prep for us is prepare 100%. Enjoy every day we train and give it 100% when you get in the ring. And after that, we're going to be happy. Yeah. Like, because why should your happiness depend on some guy raising your hand at the end or not raising your hand?
Great approach.
Because life is good before it, so what's changed?
That's great. That's spot on. Yeah. That is spot on.
We always say, don't we, if you can look back at the fight is on Saturday, have you trained and done everything possible to be ready for the fight? If the answer is yes, the results are relevant. Yeah. You go in there, you give it 100%. There's no loser if you land and raise at the end, because you're a winner in life. You've given everything 100%. You've dedicated yourself to that cause. the biggest frustration I have as a coach when I can pull somebody and go, you couldn't have done no more, kid, brilliant. And then I got to say to somebody else, well, you missed 2 Mondays over the, because I keep a record of everything. You didn't turn up for this session. You know, maybe if you turned up for this session, would have picked up something, would have stopped you getting that submission. And that's what I find more frustrating as a coach. I don't care about loss. There's bigger things in life to lose than an MMA or a boxing fight. People lose loved ones. They lose their jobs. They lose family members. You know, they lose their confidence. Losing a fight, it's irrelevant. No, it speaks to it. It kills you at the time.
I think it goes back to as well, like you said about setting goals. Like, we focus too much on the destination or the journey, because like you might say, I want to be ranked number 1 in Wales, and you get to rank number 1 in Wales. I want to be ranked number 1 in Britain then, but you don't actually... and I think it's the same with a fight. Like, you focus so hard on the result of a fight that if you win, you have that great relief and you're like, yes, I done it. And it's like, when's the next one? And if you lose, like you say, it can bring you down. You can feel, but you don't necessarily focus on, well, what happened in the 8 weeks before? Well, I'm running faster than I've ever run before. You know, I'm beating this time. I'm the fittest I've ever been. I'm in best shape. I've had the easiest weight cut I've ever had. And I think sometimes, like you say, it's about enjoying every day. I remember my last fight I lost before I retired. It was a weird feeling because I come out there and I was actually quite happy with myself. Because I was like, well, that's the best I felt in training for years. It's the best weight cut I've ever had. Best I felt in sparring. Had a great first round. You know, why should I be down and depressed over the result when that doesn't always reflect the progress you've made as a person, as a human being in the 8 weeks prior? And I also just want to go back. There was a great point I think you made about the coaches should have the questions, the athletes should have the answer, because I think we're all guilty of it as coaches sometimes, being like, you got to do it this way, you got to do it that way, but people have a bit different athletic abilities, mental capacity, body shapes, skill sets. You know, you might have a guy for us in the gym who's the best striker in the gym, but perhaps his grappling up to scratch. So how can we say go out and fight this way when it doesn't favour his style? So I think as a great, and one I'll definitely take on board, is that, you know, feedback from the athletes is important as well. You know, I'm telling you why this ain't working, but why do you feel like it ain't working, and what do you think we can change to perhaps make you a better fighter as well? You know, you said by as well about enjoying training, enjoying. Some of the most successful people I know, and I won't name names, they've got everything, but they're not happy. They're constantly on like a negative mindset, you know, down over things that they should, you know. How many people in the world would love to be able to go, this is my job, training full time, you know, you've done it as rugby, you know, Dylan will eventually, you'll step away from working, the more fights you have, the more money you earn, you know, Jack has been fortunate enough to do it. But if you're not happy, what's the point? If you're not enjoying it, what's the point, you know? And going back to the win or loss, an old instructor of mine called Rossi Nakaro, old traditional jiu-jitsu guy from Bromsgrove, he said to me once before my fight, when I was having a fight, he said, remember this, Rich, everyone that steps in that ring is a champion. The man who has his hand raised is the champion of champions. So there's no loser in that ring. And what a mindset to have to the sport. And he's bang on. Because for every one of us to step foot in that ring, there's hundreds of thousands of people wish they had the courage to go and do it and experience that environment. Because it's raw, isn't it? It is. It's Neanderthal at times, isn't it? You stood there with another bloke and your objective is to render him unconscious. Put that in the average man, right? You're going to go in there now and the objective is to render him unconscious. It's not just that. I also think, like, we'll all have a street fight, won't we? You know, if you're on a night out or at a road race. I can tell you now. Yeah, but it's instinct. Jump, come on a bank, you start fighting him. But to say to you, right, you're fighting this guy in 8 weeks and he's going to be
dealing with that.
He also knows he's fighting you in 8 weeks, so he's going to be preparing for you for 8 weeks. You're going to be preparing for him, and you're going to meet up in 8 weeks in front of 1,000 people and have a fight. It's not a normal scenario to be in, is it? Like everyone, the classic ones, you see red. I don't give a fuck, I see red. It's like, yeah, you do, but if I tell you now you're going to fight him in 8 weeks' time, let's see if you turn up in 8 weeks' time or if you come up with an excuse not to do it. You know, it's like you said, it's you're the championship, but it's also like, it's a bravery and a courage, I think, that 9 out of 10 people haven't got. And it's not a knock on them that they haven't got it. It just shows that fighters are non-normal. But same with athletes, you know, same like pro rugby players. They're non-normal people, are they? Because as well prepared as you got to be for another team, that team is also preparing for you. So that's what I used to think in camp. I'm like, yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm going to expose this week. I'd be thinking, what is he training for to expose a mine that I don't know about, you know?
It's an hard thing to explain to someone who's never done it. I get a lot of people asking me like about nerves and like, what's it like? I can't explain it.
Unless you've done it, you'll never know.
No, you can't relate unless you've been there. Like, it is strange.
I can tell from experience, I used to feel terrified until I got in there. And then, like, I reset my brain, go, you're in here now, you've got to deal with it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But, you know, warming up on the pads and and then you'd see him and I'd be saying to my coach, he looks about 2 stone heavier than me. He's not, is he? Do you know what I mean? But, you know, in your head, they all look mad. And he'd be, well, we've all gone there, sat down, end around, went, oh, he's strong. He's strong. They saying the same thing over there, aren't they? But it's dealing with it. And the most successful fighters are the ones who can control it up here. Because you can have all the tools here, but if I haven't got it here, we've seen some of the best fighters that could have been UFC champions come through the doors of our gym. But they've not got that mental capacity to give up the drink, be disciplined, diet properly, train hard, sacrifice now for greater rewards down the line, you know. So the mental side of it, I think, is more important.
I think
than
a lot of it
as
well is the fear of the unknown. Like, that's a big mental factor, isn't it? It's like, how many times you sit there at night and envision the fight happening? How many times does it go the way in your head?
Yeah, that's right.
You thought it was going to go? Fucking probably never. Like, I remember I'm fighting, I'm going to do this, and this, and you go out and it's a totally fucking different fight. And it's like, that's what I think makes us nervous. We're not, as a fight, I don't think you'll be the first day, you're probably not worried about it. It's not like the pain of getting knocked out. If you get knocked out, you don't feel it. Same getting choked out, you don't feel getting choked out. It's not the pain you're worried about, it's the, what if everyone sees me getting knocked out? It's the fear of it. And 9 times out of 10, when you worry about getting knocked out, you don't actually end up getting knocked out anyway, do you know? And if you get knocked out, you haven't seen the punch coming anyway, so you haven't got time to worry about it. You know what I mean?
This is either your best friend or your biggest
worst
enemy.
enemy.
You could sit there all day and build scenarios in your head, like, I can't know, you could sit there
all day long.
If you let that spiral and snowball, then it is your worst enemy. But I like the way I do it, it's like a reaction thing. You just act off that moment.
Yeah.
You don't think about, what if is a non-existent.
Yeah.
You just react off what's happening now, what's fact, and what's going on.
Do you do any sort of mental training? Because there's a lot of fighters that work with like sports psychiatrists and just do like sort of meditation. Is anything like that you do specifically?
He's here.
To be fair, he does crack on to me about it. But like where you say about envisioning the fight, not so much the actual fight, but I envision beforehand. So like, getting my hands wrapped, I know what feelings are going to come to me. I know what thoughts are going to come into my head. It's just preparing for that, you know, and just thinking. I just literally say to myself sometimes, "Shut up, just shut up, stop being stupid." So like, it's just picturing yourself warming up, getting ready, knowing what thoughts are going to come into your head, knowing what to expect, knowing what to feel, and how to deal with that. And then I think that allows me to go into the ring.
How does that translate to when you was younger, playing rugby, boxing? Because coaching of the mental side wasn't necessarily a thing then. I think it's only recently in a culture where people have started taking note of people's mental health and the mental side of trade. Like I remember when I first turned pro, which would have been 10 years ago now, like there were no fighters then working with sports psychiatrists and mental coaches. Now probably 95 out of 100 are. So I bet it's been a big difference in your sort of approach to training him as well. I haven't seen at the top level, like you said, the mental side of training, whereas maybe 10, 15, 20 years ago wasn't actually a thing.
Yeah, it's the psychological side of sport it's increased massively over the years on all sports, but it's the most important part of it. It's like you said, you can train your body as much as you want. If you come fight night, your head's not in the right place, or you're listening to the negative voice, the fear, because like everyone's going to have it. The other guys in the opposite corner is going to have it. All you have to do is go back to your preparation. Tell yourself, right, have I given this 100% I can? Yep, I'm fit as a flea. I'm ready to go. What can I control here when I go in here? How much effort I put into it? Can I control if he's going to do something different, change from orthodox to southpaw and knock me out with the right? I can't control that. I'll just control it. And if long as you keep your mind focused on what is in your control, like the rest of the stuff, it doesn't matter. And I'm like the young lad I'm going to be coaching now in a couple of weeks' time, having his first fight. That's all I'm going to say to him, and that's what I say to him now. Train as hard as you can. Give it the best you can. Give him minimal things to think about, not 5 things. 2 things to go into that fight with, because when you get in there, as you know, Jack, it's the crowd and everything.
Sensory overload,
yeah, exactly. You're not going to remember 5 things. So just remember 1 if you can.
Yeah. And
go in there and be very, very good at that, and then give it maximum effort. And after that, we're going to be happy.
Yeah. Everybody's happy on the back end
we got because I was never happy. I could win and never be happy.
Yeah.
Like, always picking on one little, I don't know if it's like from my upbringing, my old man always pushed me. I could score 28 points, and
Why didn't you do 30?
you pick up on the one tackle I missed or something.
Yeah.
You just get conditioned,
Yeah,
don't you?
yeah,
They're
yeah.
oh, negative. But no, it's like, as long as you give your best, and we've done that the last couple of years, because the journey with us have only evolved to where it is now over the last, I'd say, 3 years, to the point where, like, he went up there just before Christmas last year, fought a really good boy at an higher weight from Birmingham, who was a top guy, and he lost the fight. But did he come out? No, we drove home to him. He was fine.
So many positives to take from it. Yeah.
He just boxed in the wrong weight
well.
for a start. He boxed
Yeah.
really well.
Yeah.
It's just the other guy was physically 6'4", taller, longer. He's at the wrong weight for a start, so that got us now into the debate of, right, how can we fix it still? Because it ain't ability. It's not training. It's just you're at the wrong weight. You fighting guy 6'4", and he's just too long.
Like fighting an octopus.
So, so yeah, there's always positives to take out of losses, negative, and positives to take out of winning. Just like, but we focus on the negatives all the time, don't we? We have done as coaches.
Also, is a famous fight fought in the UFC Chelsea, and he talks about environment, and it's like you were going to a gym, like you've travelled down to Porthcawl, and you boxers travel everywhere sparring, don't you? It's no different with the fight on the night, is it? But what changes is the crowd, your friends and family in the front row.
Your head guards off.
Your head guards off. You know, you've got the walkout, the music, the lights, the TV cameras might be there. The environment changes, but the task is the same. And if you can get that into your brain, the task is no different to what I do Monday to Friday in that gym. But there's the difference between a good fighter and a great fighter is dealing with the environment of fight night. Because it's not the pressure of the fight. If it was in an empty room, you'd find it a lot more comfortable than all your friends and family and that feel of, I could get knocked out here in front of my girlfriend, in front of my mother, in front of my father. All those demons playing. But if you switch that out and go, this is no different. We have it in jiu-jitsu. You're not even getting punched in the face. I got boys terrified they're going to put a pair of pajamas on, go and have a grappling. It's like, oh my God, my nerves are gone. I'm like, it's a grappling match. You're not going to die. It's not a real fight. But there's no different to what they're doing. They're doing 10 rounds every night they train with me, the grappling boys. But the environment has changed. And if you can get that focused in your brain about the environment, the task is the same. I think that's a big step to becoming like a great fighter compared to a good fighter, and just instilling those positive thoughts in your brain all the time around it.
And the only thing it changes there, what you're saying there, is like our ego.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
if I get knocked out in the gym now, there's nobody about.
No,
so
don't care, do you?
Who knows? But if I get knocked out in the same environment with all my mates there watching, it's like, oh, I'm embarrassed.
Yeah.
Why?
And why? Because
Is that for everyone who's ever fought?
Not exactly. Everyone loses it, and nobody there has had the courage to come and do what you were doing.
But the best one someone always told me is like, what you got to understand is when you fight, you're the centre of your own universe. So if I get knocked out, it's the end of the world. But if you look at the bigger picture, there's 10 other fights on the card. So 4 other guys might get knocked out. And guess what? Next week, there'll be another show with 10 other guys on. So the wheels keep turning, do you know what I mean? And it's like, I remember losing a fight. I was speaking when I was sponsoring Jim Lee Batch, and he said to me, don't worry about it. He said, there's another UFC next weekend. It'll be last week's news in a week's time. And I'm like, yeah, he's right. You know what I mean? He is right. And that's the reality of it. We as humans, I think we're a bit self-obsessive sometimes. If we have something bad happen to us, we think it's only happening to us. If we do something, like the same as winning, you win, you'll think, fucking, I'm this fucking beast, and I'm this. And then someone else on my car might have a round one knockout when you've had a decision, when you're like, fucking hell, I'm terrible. You know what I mean? That's just the reality of it.
Well, do you mind if I talk about your eye?
No, it's fine.
So just to put into perspective, like, it was cancer you had, wasn't it, in the eye. What does a loss in boxing mean when you've had to deal with that? Do you mind talking a little bit about that, or you found out what happened with the illness with the eye?
Yeah, I was a young man, 43 at the time, just fit as a fiddle, running marathons and whatever, and just went for a routine eye check at Specsavers in Evervale because I thought I needed a bit of reading glasses, and they picked something up 6 months later. Time you get the hospital, have the scans, they say like you got a tumour in your eye, and it could be, it was malignant. And then I had, it could spread to your liver, and you have all the other scenarios. They give it you pretty black and white, don't they? And then does put all life and everything into context. Yeah. You got a young family. He was only about 13 at the time. It's like life's tough sometimes, isn't it, for everyone? But put it in a context of sport, like it is no context, because sport is a sport. And it gives you a better perspective and overall grounding on life, doesn't it? You'll know because you've been there yourself. And
a win or loss in a rugby match, in a fight, is insignificant when you're fighting a win or loss for your life. And that's what I say to everybody. It totally changes your outlook on life. It did with me. So you've been told that, how did it get cured? What did you have to go through?
Well, I had to have 3 operations then, all really quickly. It's a biopsy the next day, which is probably the worst. You just shove a needle down the back of the eye, but I had to be awake of it. It was there on, so take the biopsy. Then that confirmed it was malignant within a couple of days. I had to go back to Liverpool because that was the only eye hospital in Britain. Well, there was one other in London. Dylan's mother came with me, and we had to stay up there for 5 days. So I had to have a radioactive implant put into my eye.
Yeah.
Stay in the hospital with the radiation.
And they push the radiation into the tumour then.
The tumour. And then it was a case of...
Do you want to go and get that in a minute? Stay there, mate. We can cut this. Yeah, go on, bud.
And then it was a case of then going back in for another surgery on the Friday. So that was Monday. And on Friday I had another surgery to take it out. And then it was like, you can go now for a while and we need to see the results, see if it worked, come back a couple of months later. But none of these knew at the time. We just I kept it from Tanya for a while.
Yeah.
Because it was a Christmas period.
Yeah.
But none of the kids, nobody knew about it. My parents and I just said I had a rugby injury. Just coming home, my face was out there. It looked like Elephant Man.
Oh, Christ.
But a couple of months later, I went back and had some tests. And I thought, right, I needed to turn it into something positive because mentally I was fried. Really, I was like depressed. I was depressed because I'd gone from thinking I was Superman. Like I'd had an unlicensed boxing fight a year earlier. I was 42, fighting some young boy. Like I win, and then you go back to your egos inflated.
Yeah.
I'm the King Kong, and then life kicks you, doesn't it? It humbles you. So I had the treatment. I wanted to do something positive, so I decided to put it out there publicly and raise a lot of money for the eye cancer charity. Dylan's mother and myself done a couple of. Well, I jumped out the airplane. Yeah. Then I ran up Stone, and then there was a Cardiff half. So we don't.
I remember all this at the time.
Yeah. We raised about 12 grand at the time. Yeah. So that was when we had to tell the kids, but it was like it was out the back end of the treatment. Yeah. So we told them because I had to make it public to get some funds. But it was like I was giving good news. It was like I've had this, but it's okay. I'm healing. Yeah. But then you have to be monitored, as you know, for the next few years, and there's always a doubt they'd come back in your head. But it did. Like that was the most mentally difficult thing I've ever had to go through in my life because, and that goes back to the human ego of like thinking you're invincible and
being the type of character you are, and I think we're very similar with our culture, with our beings as men. I was more concerned about the rest of the family as well, stressing about the missus, but Byron just said that they kept it from Dylan. Yeah. We didn't tell you right until you knew something was going on, but he was a bit older than what Dylan would have been. But I was diagnosed with a hernia, and we kept that across the board for everybody, even though I was going in and out, having operations, having biopsies, having lumps until that moment where they go, right, well, you've got to have treatment. But the biggest mental toll for me was worrying about the family, and it sounds stupid, but worrying about how are they going to cope now if I die? Like I say this, I ain't afraid of dying, but I'm afraid of what the outcome of that be when I'm gone for everybody else. As a young lad, it's easier to. He was a grown man, just had pregnant with the missus as well. When it was like a perfect storm then as such. But everything's clear now. Do you still have any checks or?
Yeah, I still check once a year. Yeah. The last one was New Year's Eve last year, and it's okay. And I just live like that now. I don't look any further than the end of the week. Yeah. And that's like going back to enjoying the training is like for me is about enjoying my life every day, and I don't know what's going to happen even by Saturday, do I? So it's just today I'm here, I'm happy, I'm healthy. Do
you feel a bit more relaxed since it?
Yeah, just because it gives you that perspective on life. Yeah. What is life about? Am I going to wait until I pay my mortgage off? I'm going to wait until I get that news card to be happy. No, I'm like life's okay now. It doesn't have to be extreme. I don't have to win something or have an achievement or have a lot of money to make me happier. Yeah. Life is okay now. I got my family around me. That's all I need is my family around me. I got my faith, which is important to me. Yeah. And I got a small group, but a good close group of friends who are really important to me. Yeah.
Did you find your faith before? Was it? I remember off the last part of that. It was after the eye incident, wasn't it?
Well, I'd been in and out of it all my life because I was brought up with it. My grandparents, Sunday school, etc. But more out than in, to be honest. certainly more outstanding. And then, yeah, but I wasn't when I was going through that. I was like, I caught the back end of it and it all sort of happened then.
Yeah.
But I just felt like even going through the treatment, it was a weird kind of peace I had. And like, it's not a bravado fear. I just didn't have no, going in for the surgeries and things like that. It was like, I wasn't worried.
What was you doing with yourself personally to get you through that period? Was you still in the gym? Was you keeping yourself active? Because I think a lot of people, and you probably met people on the journey, same as I did, that feel sorry for themselves. They go into a rut and they end up dying because they're not trying hard enough, you know? Yeah,
that's like, I suppose my attitude, my upbringing was, and that's why a lot of people with mental health do a lot of physical exercises. And for me, it was about like doing exactly that. Go and keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I've always exercised and trained. But then I done those events that helped me channel that negative into a really positive and focus on something. I was doing it, like raising a lot of money for the charity, but I was doing it for me as much as anything else.
Yeah.
Because it was helping me get through it.
Yeah, I get that.
Because they gave me a date, it was like July, and they said, oh, we need you to come back at the end of November, and we'll give you a yes or no then. I'm like, what am I going to do now for 4 months?
Yeah.
Sit in the house and go and worry and I thought, no, I got to do something.
Gotta try and do
so
it.
that's how I cope with it.
Do you remember it at the time, Dill, when your dad told you?
Yeah. You remember, obviously, he told us when it was, sort of all clear and everything was going to be all right. Just a shock, really. It's something like, especially growing up, he was always like, you were always looking up to him and all that. It's something you never expect to happen. And then when it does, it's like, I don't know how I would have coped if he told me when it was uncertain. Yeah. So I am glad that he didn't.
At 13, I think it was the right decision, innit? So,
Look,
he was a grown man, I didn't say,
Yeah, I don't know, especially being that young, if I would have coped with it, I'm not too sure. But, yeah.
And those experiences, as you said, enjoy every moment, enjoy the training. You don't know what's around the corner.
No.
So live it as it is. I think that's a good note to finish on.
Just quickly before we do go, Dill, obviously this will be out after the fight, but obviously good luck for the weekend.
Thank you very much.
Sure you'll get a win. As you said, will you try and get one more time this year, or it might likely be next year?
It'll be next year, I think, unless the Saudis call and offer me 500 grand. If you're watching, I'm happy enough to step in.
Step in for Anthony Joshua against
happy days.
If you want to plug your socials or thank your sponsors, but
follow me on Instagram at Dylan HD Hayward, hot dog. Massive thank you to all my sponsors, big or small. I got a few on there. I don't know if
they'll get that on if you
all my sponsors, massive help. I wouldn't be able to do it without all the sponsors. All the people that bought tickets as well for Saturday, massive thank you again. It's a tough thing with ticket sales starting off. So really grateful. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone.
What's your prediction? You a prediction man for the weekend?
Well, for my fight, as long as I win. As long as I win. Yeah.
Good man. Right, thank you, boys. Appreciate it.
Just before you go, best boxer of all time for you?
Sugar Ray Leonard.
How long we got?
One name.
I think for everything outside as well, Ali. I go Ali.
For me, I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I'd probably say Floyd Mayweather.
Ability-wise, I would go Mayweather.
In terms of pure skill, I know obviously didn't fight who he should have, when he should have, but I think pure skill, Mayweather.
He fought a lot of good.
I'm going to go Calzaghe.
I was going to say best British boxer of all time.
Calzaghe.
Joe.
Yeah.
Because the history will prove that.
Yeah.
Right, thank you, boys.
Cheers, lads. Really enjoyed that.
Guys, thanks for watching. Like, share, subscribe, follow Dylan, and get in touch with him for future tickets to the fight, sponsorship opportunities, stuff like that. We'll catch you next time.